Excellent. Thanks everyone for joining us. My name's Dougal. I'll be sort of hosting the beginning and the end. Before we get into the content tonight, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge the traditional owners of land across all of the places you're joining us from. Here at the University of Tasmania, that's often the Palawa Pakana people. Respecting Indigenous knowledge and perspectives is something this university is quite committed to, and something you'll see throughout your time studying with us. We acknowledge the Palawa Pakana of Latrawida, the traditional owners of the land upon which we live and work. We pay respects to elders past and present as the knowledge holders and sharers. We honour their strong culture and knowledges as vital to the self-determination, well-being and resilience of their communities. We stand for a future that profoundly respects and acknowledges Aboriginal perspectives, culture, language and history. So what we're going to cover today is why we study at the University of Tasmania, what pathways to university are available, what will study look like for you, what will it cost, scholarships and financial support that's available, student support, how to apply, and then we will have a Q&A section at the end. So you can please ask questions throughout the presentation, because we don't want to run out of time at the end. There's a Q&A button at the bottom of your screen there, and you can actually type your questions in. So this is just a student story who was someone who came into university a little bit later than the normal Year 12 journey. So Georgina dropped out of college, chose the university preparation program to get herself ready for a nursing degree, and now she's a registered nurse. So she dropped out of college to work full time. Then she had a baby, and she was quite terrified at the thought of tertiary education. However, through the university college, she was able to prepare herself and do perfectly well in that course and become a registered nurse. UTAS has, this is just some statistics we'll give you to start with. UTAS has above average student satisfaction. This comes from a national survey of Australian university students. We have strong graduate outcomes. These employment figures are within 4 months of graduating. There's also many long-term employment and salary benefits to pursuing higher education. So we've got an 82% full-time employment for undergraduate and 96% for postgraduate students. As far as student support goes, we offer a wide range of student services to help you with all aspects of life surrounding university. And UTAS is #1 for climate action in the world. This is from the Times Higher Education Impact Rankings, and it looks at everything we do as a university, including what we teach, research we do, and the environmental impact of our physical teaching spaces. The university has a genuine commitment to sustainability, and it's really at the centre of what we do. And you can really see that when you're on the campuses as well. Now I'm going to hand over to Sarah Dempster, who is the discipline leader for our pathway programs. Over to you, Sarah.
That's awesome. Thanks so much, Dougal. Hi, everyone. Nice. Well, I can't actually see any of our visitors, but I can see you in spirit. So hello and welcome, and thank you for coming along this evening and listening to what I have to say about pathway programs. So like it said in the previous slide, I actually run what we call pathway programs at the University of Tasmania. So that's what I'm going to go through and talk to you about today. So we've got a few points here to start with. Why complete a pathway course? Like it says here, it does, the first and foremost thing is that it gains you entry into further study. So pathway courses are designed to help you meet the entry requirements for further study if you're not able to currently meet them with your study and work history. I'm a little bit biased, but I think this is actually the preferable way to go into university. And the reason I say that is because everything you are taught in this is not only a gentle sort of introduction to university, but everything you are taught is absolutely designed for success in your degree that you're going to articulate into. We have really great teachers who are going to help you on your way. And the results from our students really stand as evidence of that, where they are typically very successful students when they articulate. The second point here, where we build academic skills and confidence, it does set yourself up for success by getting your study skills in shape and learning all the university systems and processes before starting a bachelor degree. That, if you're not part of the university, that might not seem like much, but the university can be quite a mystifying place. There are lots of language that we use, you know, things that we say, systems that we operate within that are actually quite complex to understand. So that's one of the things we actually teach to our students, so that when they're in their degree, they don't have to worry about learning that because they already know it. And our students typically teach that information to other people that they're sitting alongside in their degrees. There's also lots of support, as I signalled earlier. We've got expert supportive teachers who will help you on your learning journey. I've been in education for over 20 years at this point in my career, and I don't think I've ever seen such a skilled group of educators in one place. This is a really expert team that are very, very good at their craft. They know their students intimately, and they're very skilled at getting you the skills that you need and helping you articulate into the next step of your journey. Next slide, please, Dougal. Lovely, thank you. So I'm going to talk about two programs with you today. They're both sort of means of going into a degree at UTAS. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the University Preparation Program. Excuse me. So it's a minimum of 1 year, but you can take up to 3 years to do this course if you go part-time. You can do face-to-face classes in Hobart, Launceston or Cradle Coast, but we are available online. So we have students throughout Australia who take this program. There is no cost. It is completely free. And basically the cost of this course is covered by the Commonwealth Government. And there are no entry requirements either. It's open entry, which means that all you need to be is 17 years and over, and you can enter into this course. So who is right for this course? So students who didn't complete year 11 and 12, we do get a lot of those sorts of students, or they didn't take pre-tertiary subjects. We do get students coming through and they kind of think, well, I'm not going to go to university, so I won't take pre-tertiary subjects. And then maybe halfway through year 12 or, you know, later when they're 25, they kind of think, well, maybe I do want to go to university, and they still can. It's also for students who want to figure out their strengths at university as well. That's a big thing, because the University Preparation Program is where we teach you your study skills, a bit of numeracy, a bit of writing, a bit of how to research. And it's a good place to just figure out what on earth university is and how you fit within it, what your strengths are and what you might like to pursue in the future. So it's really good for that. What will I study? 6 of the 8 units in this course will cover general academic skills like literacy, numeracy, and communication, but you also get to choose 2 discipline electives. So we've actually got quite a tight edited list of units that you can choose. Excuse me. And the course outcome is that you meet the general admission requirements for undergraduate study at the University of Tasmania. So, and when I was at AgFest recently and I was talking about this program, this was one of the questions that I got from people a little bit, where they went, well, you know, basically what's the entrance requirement once you've done this course? And I said, well, it kind of is the entrance requirement. So if you do the University Preparation Program and you pass all your units, that is your general entry to most of the courses at UTAS. So yeah, next slide, please, Dougal. Thank you. Okay, now the other program I've got is the Diploma of University Studies. So it's the same in duration. So it's a minimum of 1 year, but you can take it up to 3 years because we do have part-time students. Same location, so it's Hobart, Launceston, Cradle Coast, or online. There are entry requirements on this one though, so a completed TCE, a completed UPP, a completed Cert 3 or relevant work and life experience. I'll just make a really quick point about that completed UPP point that's there. That is true that if you have finished the UPP, that does give you entry into the Diploma of University Studies. But what some of my students have chosen to do, and students across the program of UPP, is if they do one semester of study with us and they're doing quite well, I actually encourage them to apply into the Diploma of University Studies. So if they, after that first semester, say, yeah, I'm really clear on the fact that I want to do psychology or I want to do teaching, or, you know, it's really clarified what it is they want to do. And there's a mid-year intake that's available, then I encourage them to apply into Diploma of University Studies, because then they're doing some of those first year units that they're very passionate about. Who is this course right for? It's students with more of an idea of where they want to go, because we do have 15 specialisations in the Diploma of University Studies. So when I'm out and about, there'll be students who say, you know, I want to be a paramed, I want to be a nurse, I want to be a teacher, and they're very set in that goal. And that can be a Diploma of University Studies student. In terms of what you'll study, it does build skills related to your intended degree. So basically our specialisations are in arts, business, education, engineering, health science. We do have a specialisation in science, but there are actually, because science is a very broad church, we actually have lots of different specialisations like marine and Antarctic science or ag science, things like that. Nursing foundation studies, paramed. Paramed's quite a new specialisation, but it's very popular. Psychology and social work. In terms of the course outcome, it does give you entry to your specific degree based on the one you want to do. So if you're doing health science, then presumably you want to go in that direction for your degree, and up to 1 year of credit. The other thing I'll mention about that though, with the Diploma of University Studies, is I said at the beginning of that slide, it's a minimum sort of up to 1 year, and you can definitely take 1 year. We have students who want to take 1 year. But if you do one semester, just like UPP, and you're doing really well, we encourage students to apply into their bachelor degree as well. So that's also an option for you. Next slide, please, Dougal. Okay, lovely. So this is a bit of an outline as to, number one, what our specialisations are, but also what the credit points are and what the heck that actually means. So when we talk about credit at a university and in the Diploma of University Studies, if you look at the top line on this slide, we've got Diploma of University Studies Arts. It gives you guaranteed entry into your bachelor degree, and it means that you get 100% worth of credit into your degree. So what that means is that you don't start in first year of your degree, you actually start in the second year of your degree. So again, when I'm out talking to people about Diploma of University Studies and university preparation program, and students say to me, you know, I don't have time to waste, I need to get on, I want to be a nurse, I want to be, you know, whatever the thing is that you've envisaged. DUS might be a good option for those students, because in there, like, you know, it's something where you're really quite swiftly moving through your study. Yeah, business is the same, but you can see that there are some exceptions as well. So for instance, for education, you know, there's 50% worth of credit that's offered there. Engineering has less as well. So it just depends on the specialisation that you go into. And if you come along to this session and you can't remember what credit points go where, you can always, I'm sure there'll be contact details that one of these lovely people will provide for you, and we'll be happy to provide that for you. That's fine. Next slide, please, Dougal. Lovely, thank you. This is a great slide as well, because this is again replicating a lot of the conversations I have where people are trying to find their right lane, you know, because we are living in a cost of living crisis at the moment. Sometimes it's, you know, money's important to a lot of people. People work hard for their money, and the university preparation program is free. But the Diploma of University Studies does have fees associated with it. So even that might be the source of some decision making for people that I talk to out and about. There are no academic entry requirements for university preparation program, but there are for the Diploma of University Studies. The other thing with university preparation program is there's no credit. So you do that study, it will get you general entry, but with the Diploma of University Studies, you're paying fees, but you get credit for what you've studied into your degree. So it's really just you making a personal decision about what suits you at this particular point in time. University preparation program focuses on a broad range of academic skills. Like I said, things like numeracy, writing, communication, you know, research skills, all of that type of thing. But in the Diploma of University Studies, we actually have a combination of foundation and first year units. So if you're in the Diploma of University Studies psychology, for instance, we will teach you how to write an essay, we'll teach you the numeracy that you need, but you will also be in first year lectures learning psychology alongside first year students in their degree. So it's a combination, if you know what I mean, because you're in that lecture listening to that psychology information, but then you come to our unit and we're teaching you how to write a really killer essay to impress your lecturers. So that's how we work. We kind of have those first year units, and we have those units that will teach you the really robust skills that you need. In the university preparation program, all the units are taught by myself and my team, statewide and online. But in the Diploma of University Studies, because you're taking these first year units, you will be taught by lecturers from across the university. So if you're doing DUS psychology, you'll be taught by psychology lecturers. If you're taking ag science, you're going to be taught by agriculture lecturers. And that sometimes is a draw for people as well, because they're learning the specific thing that they're very passionate about. Great. Next slide. Thanks, Dougal. Great. Thank you. So in terms of how you learn, you can expect to learn through a mix of scheduled classes, flexible learning, and assessment. So each degree is made up of several units or subjects. A full-time load is 3 or 4 units at once. And look, the one thing I'll say as well is that we have a real mix. There are some students who come in and they're like, I want to do this part-time, you know, because I've got caring responsibilities. I'm really involved in my local sporting team. I work 30 to 40 hours a week. You know, it's got to be part-time, and that's no problem. And then we get people coming in who want to be full-time because they really want to move swiftly through their study, which is also fine. But if you go into it and you need to adjust your enrollment, you're like, oh, I'm in way over my head, this is too much, we can absolutely do that for you. That's no problem. So part-time, as it says here, can be as little as 1 unit. The general rule of thumb that we give to people in terms of how much time you need to give to this, for every unit that you take, it's generally around 10 hours per week that you're giving. So what we say to students when we see them at orientation, for instance, is if you're doing 4 units, that's 40 hours, that's a full-time job. So basically that's the kind of hourly commitment that you're going to look at. And we know that that will go up and down depending on what assessments you get in particular units, but it's just a ballpark for you. Our classes are conducted in person or online. So you've got the option there. We can also do like a blended situation where you take some online and some on campus. Lots of discussions, lots of activities. Generally, there's one thing per week you sort of go to, but there may be others if you're taking, say, a maths class. You do have flexible learning in the sense that we give you material to read over before you come to class. And there might be, as it says here, interactive discussions, quizzes, things like that that you do to prepare for your learning before you arrive and we start teaching you. Assessment, every unit is assessed, but the methods vary. It may be an assessment or quizzes or presentations. And I think it's worth saying that whilst we are very attentive to the skills that you need for your degree, we're also very modern in our approach. So I think by definition, we do get students coming through who have had really negative experiences at school and haven't really realised their full potential, or they've gone through other channels and they've just had kind of not great experiences. We have a lot of energy for this type of teaching, and we take a lot of time to create very contemporary learning experiences for students. Next slide, please, Dougal. Great. Oh, is this over to you, Dougal? I think it might be. Calendars and schedules, workplace support.
It does look like that's it, which I hadn't
Right.
noticed before, but that's fine.
No problem.
Just a couple of tips here to have a good work-life and study balance. Regarding calendars and schedules, just make sure that you're noting down your due dates and stuff like that for your assignments or whatever it might be that you're being assessed on. You can check with your employer because you may be entitled to study time in your workplace as part of the professional development policy. So it's always worth checking that out. Prioritise commitments. Yeah, you've just got to, sometimes you have to prioritise, but there's usually a way around that you can make up time or whatever. Determine what's critical and what you can miss. Self-care is critical for avoiding burnout. So avoid unnecessary stress and sickness. And ask for help. Let friends and family know about your study. And just, I guess, access any support systems that you can. There are some at the university. There may be some within your workplace, wherever you can find them. And you can always approach your lecturers, whether that be Sarah or whoever it may be, to try and help you out if you're having any problems. So don't forget that as well. Don't feel alone in your learning journey. There are plenty of people there to help. I went to university in the 90s. It wasn't quite as supportive in those days, and I'm amazed at just how much support is available at UTAS at the current time. So just don't ever forget that there's always something that you can find to help you support. Don't let costs get in the way either. There are hundreds of scholarships. They will be mainly coming out in about mid-October. That's when most of them are there. There's too many to go into here, but they're offered by a whole heap of businesses and organisations and based on a whole heap of qualifying criteria, I suppose, whether that be financial need, whether that be sporting skill, whether that be academic achievement, whether that be regional location. The list is endless, and it's definitely worth checking out. And often these scholarships go unawarded, so they can just sit there and no one's actually getting the money. So it's definitely worth looking into that. You may want to check with your workplace if they will contribute towards education costs. Often you can claim it on your tax as well. Centrelink offers youth allowance, study and rent assistance if you study full-time and meet the income and asset test. So you might want to check that out with Centrelink as well, which is also branded as Services Australia. So if you can't find Centrelink, look at Services Australia because often that's what it's branded underneath. Sorry, we've got, This is just a little more list of the support that's available at the university. There's peer-assisted study sessions, student advisors, learning workshops, and 24-hour study support. We do have plenty of people who can give you career guidance as well and connect you with mentors and professional associations. There's also opportunities to volunteer. And there are also counselling and wellbeing services available in person and online, and that's with anything you may be struggling with, whether it be academic, mental health, or personal concerns. We have professionals that can help you out with that. Applying online is easy and it's free. And our team is here to help at any point. You can apply for up to 5 courses at once through your online application portal. You will need to provide information about your previous study or work experience. If your application is successful, we'll send you an offer to study with us. You can accept this offer via our online application portal. Your login details will be sent to you at a later date. After accepting your offer, you'll have access to the UTAS systems and we'll be able to enrol. And there are enrolment sessions as well if you need help. So now it's time for the questions, and I believe I'm handing over to you, Bronwyn.
Yeah, I just wanted to recap some of the great questions that we've had so far and give everyone a little moment to pop theirs into the Q&A section there. There's one that I'll answer live. We will type a response to this as well, but someone has asked about whether they can get the pensioner education supplement from Centrelink for taking UPP. That's not something we can answer for you definitively. You'll have to check with Services Australia. But what I can tell you is I've had a very quick look at the website, and I believe that these courses would meet the study requirements. It would just be sort of everything else that's involved in it. So that's not one that I'm super familiar with, but from the looks of things, the Diploma of University Studies would be an approved diploma. We certainly are an approved provider as far as Services Australia goes. I'll just go to some of these other questions that we've had. There's one that I might throw to Sarah really quickly that got asked in advance of the webinar, which is, as a mature age disability pensioner who hasn't studied in 30 years, is the university preparation program the best start? I have a feeling that the answer is yes, but I'll double check that with Sarah. Would you agree?
I think that's a wonderful place to start. Yeah, it's just like, I can't say enough good things about the university preparation program. You know, right at the beginning of the presentation, we featured Georgia, who came in, you know, wanting to be a nurse. And starting with UPP to sort of pursue that journey for her. We just have so many success stories going through UPP. And the good thing is it's free. Like, you know, again, like that's a really important thing. You get this broad, really strong education. It gives you time to kind of figure out what your strengths are, where you want to go. We have students coming in to UPP sometimes, and they go, right, you know, I want to do this particular thing, but they actually change because they've got enough time and space to think about what their strengths are. And maybe rather than being a nurse, I want to be a social worker. And I didn't quite know what that was, but I think I want to do this now. The other thing I'll mention, which is kind of related, but I didn't make clear previously, because nursing and paramed are super popular in terms of pathways. So I'm just sort of jumping to that Diploma of University Studies thing. They are actually like they're capped in terms of the numbers that we take, and it's not guaranteed entry. So I just wanted to make that point, that it's all determined on GPA, which means that, you know, basically at the end of Diploma of University Studies, paramedicine and nursing will make a list of their you know, high performing students, and you know, they'll basically have a list of places for those students articulating into the degree. So I just wanted to make that point as well. But yes, coming back to your original question, yes, I think UPP would be amazing.
Yeah, that's fantastic that you addressed nursing and paramedicine, because that was one of the questions we were getting in
Oh.
advance of the webinar as well. So you read my mind.
Oh,
Thank you very
great.
much for that.
Oh, lovely. Okay.
Yeah, so as Sarah mentioned, those are competitive entry. And if you weren't to go ahead and get the GPA required to get into nursing or paramedicine, there's lots of other options, and there's people at the university you can talk to about other career pathways you might be able to take. One of the other questions we got that is a little bit tricky, and I don't have a super straightforward answer on, is how much does the Diploma of University Studies cost? We've mentioned a number of times the university preparation program is free, which is wonderful. There is a cost associated with the diploma, and the very annoying answer to that is it depends. So each unit is priced individually, and it will depend which ones you take. And those prices for the units can vary from around $500 to around $2,000, depending on which discipline they fall into. The price for every unit is listed on our website, and I can explain more about exactly how you find it in the follow-up email. So unfortunately, the only way to find out how much it might cost is that you go and look up each unit. But the good news is that as domestic students, you'll be eligible to defer that payment onto a HECS help loan, which you will start paying back once you're earning over $54,000. So it's not as if you have to front up with the cash in hand. It is a loan that you can get from the government to cover those costs. There's another question. Oh, I see Sarah's already typing the answer to it, which is
I'm trying to stay up
yes.
up to date with all of these.
Two things at once. And it was, can you go into DUS after doing a semester of UPP? I'm quite sure the answer is yes, but I think Sarah was just typing that if you're doing well in your UPP, then yes.
Yes, that's right. And if there's a mid-year intake, because there are particular things, nursing would be a good example where we just don't have a mid-year intake for that. So they can't, like if they started UPP at the beginning of the year and they went, right, I'm doing pretty well, I want to apply for DUS nursing, there's no mid-year intake, so that wouldn't work. So it's just a matter of making sure that the thing you want to go into is actually offered at that time.
Sorry, I was just trying to type as well. One other thing I might get you to address, Sarah, there was a lady who's been asking about, she's a mature age student wanting to do a degree in fine arts, and she doesn't know whether UPP or DUS is the right pathway. And do you have any advice on that?
Oh, gosh, that's a really hard one. I mean, the good thing, our fine arts people are very passionate about fine arts, and they really, we have a lot of people coming through that are already, they've demonstrated that really strong passion for art in various ways. I was talking to someone a week ago who was very interested in ceramics and that sort of thing. I think it depends on a few things. Firstly, if you just want to try out university, then UPP might be a good option. If you have like a Cert 3 or a TC or something like that, and you can, the entry is no problem for the Diploma of University Studies, you can go into the Diploma of University Studies arts pathway. And what we can do for you, because the arts pathway is just as it says, it gives you a list of arts units, but we can actually put in some fine arts units into that to make it more sort of fine artsy for you. And then you can articulate into your degree from there. So if you're really keen about having that hands-on experience and getting right into the fine arts experience, maybe DUS might be a good option. But if you were here, that's a great question. If you were here, I'd be asking you for more information on your personal circumstances and kind of how you feel about, your, price sensitivity, all of that type of thing, and how important time and speed at moving through these things is to you and that sort of thing.
And we can pick that up over email following this to have a bit more of a back and forth just to make sure. And there was one other sort of curly question, I guess we might get Sarah to address. So we've got someone asking, and this is around the DUS pathways that don't have the guarantee into the
Oh,
next
yes.
course,
Yeah.
does that mean that you would then be ranked against year 12s and all of that kind of thing? How many
Oh, that's a
places
really
are
good
there?
question. No, it used to work that way years and years and years ago. It doesn't work that way now. We actually have a cap on numbers. I think in DUS nursing, we've got about 120 places in that, which is a reasonable amount, I think, for students coming through. So there's no, like, it's a pathway in its own right. We do get school leavers coming through, but it's still that they're coming through the pathway. We're not kind of getting students in the pathway and then comparing them to other people, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I think there's plenty of room in that. Good question.
Yeah, we've gone over time just a little bit, but all of these questions are recorded and we can follow up afterwards. So we might need to wrap it up, otherwise we might be here all night. But we will follow up tomorrow or the next day with a recording of tonight's presentation,
Okay.
and there'll be the ability to ask more questions then. But yeah, thank you all so much for coming along tonight, everyone.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yes. And thank you so much to Sarah as well for giving up part of your evening to have a chat to all of these prospective students.
So happy to do it. That's wonderful. And thanks to everyone. So everyone will get answers to their questions and that sort of thing. But thank you so much for coming along, everyone. And it's just really exciting to sort of see these questions and to hear about your particular journey. So thanks for being so open. It's wonderful.